the students consider you the musician who has influenced them the most. It would be an honor for them to watch one of the most famous violinists of all time play at the show. 19. I was still skeptical whether I would win a prize or not. As I realized my name had been called, I jumped with joy. 20. If we cut ourselves off from all other possibilities, we become boring, rigid, hardened, and thus likely to get knocked about a bit. Shutting down to adventure means exactly that you are shut down. 21. Over the centuries, various writers and thinkers, looking at humans from an outside perspective, have been struck by the theatrical quality of social life. 22. Personal blind spots are areas that are visible to others, but not to you. Personal blind spots can easily be overlooked because you are completely unaware of their presence. So are your blind spots. This is where you need to enlist the help of others. People who are willing to hold up that mirror, who not only know you well enough to see that truck, but who also care enough about you to let you know that it's there. 23. A child whose behavior is out of control improves when clear limits on their behavior are set and enforced. Parents must agree on where a limit will be set and how it will be enforced. The limit and the consequence of breaking the limit must be clearly presented to the child. 24. There is always a possibility that in the future archaeologists will find even older pots somewhere else. 26. They come together to search for food in mixed herds, which can number as many as 100 to 200 individuals. 29. Society tends to give all the credit to the individual who happens to plant a successful seed. Planting a seed does not necessarily require overwhelming intelligence. Creating an environment that allows seeds to prosper does. To really understand what he accomplished requires looking beyond the man. 30. When gains come quickly, we tend to lose sight of the basic wisdom. We do not take into account the role that luck plays in such sudden gains, because this cannot be sustained. We experience an inevitable fall, which is all the more painful, leading to the depression part of the cycle. Although gamblers are the most prone to this, it equally applies to business people during bubbles, and to people who gain sudden attention from the public. 31. The plant uses the color of the fruit to signal to predators that it is ripe, which means that the seed's hull has hardened. Glucose raises insulin levels in primates and humans, which initially raises levels of leptin, a hunger-blocking hormone. But fructose does not. 32. In many situations, it's wise to dip your toe in the water rather than dive in headfirst. 33. This demonstrates why it's a mistake to assume that a certain cultural product will have the same effect on everyone. 34. The availability heuristic refers to a common mistake that our brains make. by assuming that the instances or examples that come to mind easily are also the most important or prevalent. 35. Marketing management is concerned not only with finding and increasing demand, but also with changing or even reducing it. The aim of demarketing is not to completely destroy demand, but only to reduce or shift it to another time, or even another product. 36. They had to keep accurate time, so that monastery bells could be rung at regular intervals to announce the 7 hours of the day reserved for prayer. Early clocks were nothing more than a weight tied to a rope, wrapped around a revolving drum. They ate at mealtime, rather than when they were hungry, and went to bed when it was time, rather than when they were sleepy. 37. We need to try to limit the harmful impacts they can have on the objectivity and rationality of our decisions and judgments. It is important that we are aware when one of our cognitive biases is activated, and make a conscious choice to overcome that bias. We need to be aware of the impact the bias has on our decision-making process and our life. We should check in again to see if it worked in the way we had hoped. 38. Synergy occurs when combined resources produce output that exceeds the sum of the outputs of the same resources employed separately, unless programmed to do so by humans. Even with sophisticated artificial intelligence, which enables the computer to learn and then implement what it learns, the initial programming must be done by humans. 39. Developed over so much time, before the invention of language. That is how the human face became so expressive, and gestures so elaborate. With these counterforces battling inside us, we cannot completely control what we communicate. By sheer habit, we fixate on the words people say, while also thinking about what we'll say next. 40. One widely held view is that self-interest underlies all human interactions. That our constant goal is to maximize rewards and minimize costs. The expectation that we should return help, not harm, to those who have helped us. The reciprocity norm compels us to give about as much as we receive. 41 to 42. The new manager had to put significant time and effort into repair and maintenance of the machines, which resulted in lower production and thus a loss of profits.